There is a moment that almost no one is prepared for. It is when you realize you are not tired of life, but of having lived it wrong for too long. Not because you are incapable, but because you believed you still had time to fix it. There are truths that if we hear them too early, we brush them aside. If we hear them too late, we have to pay the price. What comes next is not for those who want to be comforted. It is for those who are clear-headed enough not to repeat that mistake ever again. Welcome to Share Life, where simple stories carry profound lessons, helping us slow down a little, understand ourselves more clearly, and day by day make life a little better. There are things that only when we have gone through half a lifetime are we quiet enough to understand. Not because they are too complicated, but because when we are young, we are too noisy to listen. At a certain age, we no longer need more moral lessons. What we need is to look back, to put names to what we have been through, so we can understand why we are tired, why we were once wrong, and why the peace we have now had to be traded for so many stumbles in the past. You have lost things because of a slip of the tongue. You have hurt someone you love just because of a burst of anger that felt so right at the time. You have made decisions in a few hot-headed minutes, then paid for them with many years of regret. It is only then that we understand no one is truly free unless they can master themselves. Freedom is not doing whatever you like, but being able to stop right in the moment when you most want to be impulsive. Perhaps you have also gone through a time of living in noisy conversations, speaking to win, speaking to prove yourself, speaking so that others will respect you. But the older we get, the less we feel the need to talk so much. Not because we have run out of things to say, but because we have come to understand the value of silence. There are things that, once spoken, only cheapen the feeling. There are arguments where, even if you win, you gain nothing but a fractured relationship. Those who have been through life understand one thing: we do not have to speak up about everything. There are injustices we see very clearly, yet we choose silence so as not to lose the inner peace we need for more important responsibilities. There are slanders that, in the past, we might have fought to the end. But now we only shake our heads and smile. Time will sift out what is true. For someone who has weathered many storms, silence is sometimes the highest expression of strength. The young often think anger is strength. The seasoned know that anger is a kind of weakness before oneself. You have been angry to the point your hands were shaking, wanting to smash things, to throw everything away. But when the anger passed, what remained was only emptiness and the words, "if only." If only I hadn't said that sentence. If only I had kept quiet for a moment. If only I had stepped outside for 5 minutes before answering. Those if only, anyone who has lived long enough carries them. At some point, we begin to fear ourselves when we are heated. We know we can destroy what is most precious in just a few minutes of losing control. And from that fear, we learn to slow down. We learn to reply a little later. We learn to take a walk around the block instead of sitting there arguing to the bitter end. We learn to say, "Let's talk about this tomorrow. I'm not calm enough right now." Outsiders may see that as weakness, but those who have been through it know that is when we are protecting what matters most. Over the years, you also realize how much of your life has been spent chasing other people's gaze. Praise makes you eager, criticism makes you collapse. A casual remark from someone can ruin your entire day. Little by little, you understand. If you let your mood be controlled by other people's tongues, your life will never be stable. Those who have been seasoned by life are not people who no longer feel sad when criticized, or no longer feel happy when praised. They simply no longer let those things decide who they are. They listen, they sift, and then they turn back and ask themselves, "Am I living in line with what I believe is right?" The greatest respect a mature person needs is no longer the approval of the crowd, but the feeling of being able to look in the mirror without having to bow their head before their own conscience. And then there is happiness. Perhaps you once thought, when I have more money, a better position, a more complete family, then I will be happy. But each time you reached a new milestone, happiness only came fleetingly. Very briefly, what remained were new worries, new goals, new gaps still unfilled. At some point, those who have been through enough accept a simple truth. Happiness is not a destination, but the small moments we recognize along the way. It is coming home late from work, exhausted, yet still having a place to return to, a person to talk to, or at least a quiet space to sit down and breathe. It is the feeling of finishing something difficult without quitting halfway. It is an ordinary meal that somehow leaves your heart at peace. For someone who has gone through enough losses, happiness is no longer something grand. It lies more in being left in peace, being allowed to be myself, being able to live calmly, than in being better than others. The years of stumbling also teach us something else. No one is born having everything. Some people have no money, no power, no backing. But if they are willing to look back at what they have been through, willing to learn from their losses, they gain something even the wealthy cannot buy. Experience transformed into wisdom. Pain no longer remains a wound forever, but becomes a lesson. Loss is no longer only regret, but part of the material that makes up who we are today. Those who have been through much rarely still dream of walking too many paths at once. They are familiar with the feeling of things being half done, left unfinished, so now they want to focus more. They choose a few things that truly matter: meaningful work, a worthy relationship, a fitting way of life, and accept that the rest must be let go. They understand going deep on one path always gives you more than standing at a crossroads, forever wondering which way to turn. And perhaps the clearest change in those who have been seasoned by life is the way they begin a new day. No longer diving straight into phones, emails, messages. They spend a few minutes asking themselves, what truly matters today? What must I get done so I don't have to blame myself tonight? What should I avoid, no matter how provoked I feel, so I don't have to say "if only" again? Because in the end, they understand. If we do not actively arrange our own lives, life will arrange us with all kinds of randomness. Bad news, goading words, crushing work, temptations that appear at the exact moment we are weakest. Self-mastery is no longer a slogan, but a matter of survival. So we do not repeat old mistakes, so the scars of the past do not begin to bleed again. Those who have been through life no longer need a perfect life. They only need a way of living in which each day they are a little less impulsive, a little less hurried, a little less controlled by others' moods, and a little less likely to betray themselves. Just that much is already a kind of freedom that youth sometimes cannot comprehend. Not everyone who lives long understands much, but those who know how to pause and look within will not live in vain. Freedom does not come from having more, but from mastering oneself. And true wisdom begins when a person learns how to be silent at the right moment.